Well, hey everybody. Welcome to the update stream. This is Bugs here. I'm joined today by Artemis and Miss D. Say hi, guys.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, guys.
So, we have a big update today. It is expected at the normal time, which is basically 1 hour from now, 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT. And with all first Thursday updates, this will force a map wipe when the update hits. Now, there's no sign of a forced blueprint wipe with this. There are some changes to workbench things and tech tree things, but no sign of a forced blueprint wipe with this. However, many servers, including most Rustified servers, will wipe blueprints along with the forced map wipe. The exception at Rustified being the long 3 servers, medium 3 servers, and ZenLab servers. So those in both US and EU will not wipe blueprints. All other Rustified servers will wipe blueprints when the update hits. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to do Miss D underscore that's me in chat, and we'll get to as many questions as we have the opportunity to. And also, this is a thick one. There is a lot of miscellaneous stuff, not a ton of brand new things coming in, but holy cow, are there a ton of changes to miscellaneous things throughout the game. So it's going to be kind of going through lists of things on this update stream. And if you want to follow along, as always, you can go to rustified.com and look at my article today where I summarize everything in text and pictures. But yeah, let's get into it. So there's a bunch of changes, bunch of meta changing changes, as Alistair put it on X. Bunch of quality of life, bunch of fixes, all this stuff. So let's get into it. First and foremost, we've got a tech tree tax has been added. And so this happens when you're unlocking things via the workbenches, via the tech trees at the workbenches. Basically, for higher level stuff, there will be a tax. Now, for workbench level 1, there's no tax. But when your, I guess, income bracket goes up a little bit and you're working on workbench level 2 and workbench level 3, then there is a scrap tax that is added. So on workbench level 2, it's 10% extra scrap you're going to have to pay to unlock things. And on workbench level 3, it is 20% tax to unlock things. Now, this only applies for when you're unlocking things via the tech tree on the workbenches. It does not impact the cost of researching things at the research table. So it will still be, if you grab the item and take it to a research table, that will still be the same amount of scrap. But if you're just unlocking things via that whole tech tree method, it will cost you more, especially the higher level you go. Now, also, there's a bunch of changes to external structure placement and external structures in general, specifically high externals. This is both wood and stone, walls and gates, now take 1.5 seconds to deploy. So no longer can you just slap them down and they're immediately there. You'll see there's a progress bar that you have to wait. And if you move, then it cancels the progress bar, it cancels the placement. And so you do have to just stand still and wait that 1.5 seconds. Originally it was 3 seconds, but they cut that in half. And I think that's good. A little delay, I get 3 seconds. That was a little long, but you do have to stand still. You can't move, or that will cancel placement. So this kind of takes the whole idea of plopping one of these things down in the middle of PvP out of the equation in most cases. Because in a lot of cases, if you're in the middle of stuff, 1.5 seconds may be the difference between life and death. So that is the big change with high external walls. Once again, stone, wood, walls, and gates. Now, also with these, you can now demolish them for up to 10 minutes after being placed, as long as you got TC and a hammer. Then you do have a 10-minute waiting period where you can actually remove one of these if you misplaced one or anything like that. Now, along with this, they did change the wood barricades a little bit, where the wood barricades are actually about twice as wide than they were before. So, although they're making it so these high walls are not so viable in PvP anymore, the wood barricades are a bit more viable because you can hide more behind them. You get a little more cover room behind them. Now, also, they were just playing with this, and I didn't even get a chance to test this as I'm thinking, but they were playing with the snapping ability to the wood barricades. Are we seeing that snapping ability on it? Yeah, we are. Good.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, yep.
So, yeah, similar to how the high external walls snap together, the barricades now snap together as well, and they still place immediately. So, when it comes to giving yourself cover on the fly in a PvP situation, well, the wood barricades look like a much more viable option than the high externals do. Now, also, there's a bunch of other meta changing changes coming in. Various just different things that we're seeing that will change up, shift up kind of some of the various metas in the game. One of the biggies is this change to recycling yield. So in safe zones, recyclers yield 20% less resources now and take 8 seconds per cycle. On the contrary, in Radtown recyclers, they yield 20% more resources than before and they take 5 seconds per cycle. So if you're at like Compound or Bandit and you got a safe zone, if you look down and you see safe zone in the bottom right, you're going to be getting 20% less resources and it's going to take a little longer. But on the contrary, if you want some more resources than just whatever, go to a rad town, go to some place that isn't a safe zone, and you'll actually get more than before. So this is encouraging people to kind of risk a little bit more, get out there in the more dangerous zones, and get 20% more yield on their recycling. And it happens quicker too. Now, also, cargo ship is going to dock at both harbors now. They've also done a couple miscellaneous fixes and changes to cargo ship. After last month, it launched with the initial, docking functionality and everything at harbor. There were some miscellaneous things they needed to tweak with that, but the big takeaway for this month is it will now dock at both harbors as opposed to just one harbor. So when it comes out, it should dock at one and then go and dock at the other. So if you happen to live near one harbor versus the other, you now have an opportunity to take part in the harbor docking event. So that's cool. Also, they've made a change so that if a foundation is destroyed, it will block instant rebuilding like other various building blocks. So if you've got a foundation that was just destroyed, it puts little blockers in place so you actually can't place another foundation immediately. They've also done a little change to the MLRS lockout. They've increased it from 10 minutes to 20 minutes. And so it's twice as long of a lockout period for the MLRS. And then also we've got C4 will prevent upgrading for 30 seconds when it lands on a wall. So no more if you like hear a C4 on a wall, do you have a little bit to go quickly upgrade it before that C4 blows? It will just cancel out any ability to change or upgrade the wall the second that C4 hits the wall. So yeah, so just a little bit of a shift there with blocking people's ability to do anything once that C4, and it's not just C4, it's any explosive basically, so grenades as well, just will block any upgrading on the walls once it lands. And then finally, in the realm of meta changing changes, we've got a shift to the launch site main building loot. So basically, what they did is they put it on its own puzzle reset mechanism, which is independent from the rest of the monument loot spawns. And when the puzzle resets, there's now guaranteed loot throughout the main building. So roughly 50% more loot is going to be there on reset. But the puzzle will only reset when there are no players nearby. So your chances of finding more loot in the main building at launch is better, providing there's no players nearby and it actually had the chance to reset. Now, also, we've got a bunch of gunplay changes coming in as well. And this is something, we've got some interesting ones here. We got a buff to the custom SMG. It now holds a 30 round magazine and has a slightly higher chance for more center fire hits. So it's going to be a bit more accurate, and you've got some extra rounds in the magazine as well. And we'll show off some of that firing here. It's always kind of hard to show off these gunplay changes just on the fly, firing at a wall, but we'll fire at a wall nonetheless. And that's the custom SMG buff. There's also the LR300 has been buffed a bit. It will do more damage at a longer range, and the horizontal recoil has been decreased, and the bullet velocity has been increased. So that's like a three kind of faceted buff there to the LR300. More damage at range, decreased horizontal recoil, and increased bullet velocity. Now, also, there was a semi automatic rifle buff that was committed and then reverted. So I've had some people ask me about what about the SAR changes that we saw the other day in the commits? Well, it looks like those were reverted. So I'm not seeing any changes to the SAR going today. Also, a couple other gunplay changes. We've got the hollow sight viewfinder. The edges have been reduced, and the red reticle has been made a bit thicker. So you're going to just be able to see a bit easier out of that hollow sight viewfinder, which is nice. And then also, we've got a buff to some attachments. The muzzle brake and the muzzle boost have a bit less negatives associated with their usage, as in there's less damage reduction, less damage fall off. So you're going to get better results out of using the muzzle brake and the muzzle boost. They also, on the semi auto pistol, did reduce the aim cone a bit. So another little buff on the semi auto pistol. And they reduced the refire delay for burst modules from 3x refire to 2x refire. And then finally, moving no longer applies an aim cone penalty to the first shot, but it actually is going to have the movement penalty blended over several shots. So that's when you're moving while doing full auto. Previously, it would just do a big aim cone penalty on that first shot. Now it looks like that's been blended across the first several shots you take. And that is roughly what we're seeing with regards to the gunplay changes. Now, also, there's a ton of quality of life changes, and these are miscellaneous all over the place, various different quality of life changes. But here's some highlights. We've got now finally the ability to authorize friends on tool covers just like you can on turrets. So that's very nice. That I feel like has been a long time coming. They've added the ability to promote a team leader via the team UI in the inventory, and they removed the promotion option when looking at a player. So if you want to promote a team leader who's offline or something like that, you can now do that because you don't have to be standing right in front of them to promote them to leader. You just do it on the team UI on the bottom left, like you do everything else. Also, they reduced the HV ammo gunpowder cost. It did cost 20 gunpowder. Now it's only 10 for HV ammo. And on top of that, with the HV ammo, the craft yield has now been changed to match non HV ammo. So it was 2 crafted per craft. Now it's 3. And then we've got some changes underwater with torpedoes. The torpedo craft yield has also been increased. It was 3, it's now 5. And the surface accuracy when firing torpedoes has been improved. So it's going to be just more accurate when firing torpedoes, especially on the surface. And the duo submarine now fires torpedoes slightly faster than the solo. So that's another little buff to the duo sub. They also did increase the roadside armor condition. So roadside armor will now last a little bit longer, won't break as quick when you're out there PvPing and whatnot. Also, along the armor realm, they decreased the metal plate craft cost from it was 25 high quality metal, now it's 18. And they reduced the cost of incendiary rockets and slightly increased the damage. So a little buff we're seeing to incendiary rockets. Going to be cheaper to craft and a little bit more damage. They reduced the gear cost of the HMLMG. They also removed tech trash from the crafting cost of a couple things, specifically drones, and also RF items no longer require uh, the the tech trash as well. Although with the RF items, there is a slight increase to the frag cost. So it's going to be like 50 more frags per item, but you're not going to have to cough up the tech trash when crafting RF items. So that's going to make it a lot more feasible, I'd say. And then finally, there's a small ramp added to the legacy shelter. And that's just the goal of making it easier to access on bad terrain. It's definitely a small ramp. It's literally like two steps, but I guess in certain terrain instances, it makes it easier to get into that legacy shelter, um, just because you got a little step action going on there. And that's what we got going on for quality of life stuff. A whole bunch of things coming in that realm. Now, also, we got some changes to door controllers going on as well. So, the automating of opening and closing your base doors is going to be a bit more straightforward, I'd say. Previously, you could do it, but there's this whole pairing mechanism. You had to place the door controller close to a door, but not too far away. And now it actually just deploys them on the door. And then, of course, that's the door that it's paired with. So it just goes right on the door like a code lock. And then also, they've had three electrical nodes now. So there's a power in, there's a close, and an open node. And kind of how that works is based on what we were seeing, if you just power something to the power in and then shoot it a blast of power, it will toggle the door. So if it's open, it'll close it. If it's closed, it'll open when it receives that power. And then if you want to be more specific, what you can do is wire in specifically to certain things just go to the close action, and then other things just go to the open action. So you got a little bit more flexibility there, and it's a little bit more usable and straightforward when it comes to that door controller stuff. Now, also, there's a ton of fixes going on as well, just a bunch of miscellaneous fixes. So, there were some issues where storage adapters were blocking the ability to loot boxes when you were looking at the adapter, and that's been resolved. So, even if you're looking at the adapter on the box, you should still be able to loot. They did a bunch of little fixes with regards to hover looting and just dragging and dropping with the backpack stuff in general. So they fixed hover looting of clothing inside a full backpack wasn't doing anything and now operates as you would assume. They fixed dragging a backpack or diving take onto an equipped backpack, and that was going into the backpack's inventory instead of swapping the items or doing nothing. So just the whole backpack inventory management stuff is going to be a little more straightforward and a little more logical. They also made it so Tesla coils and igniters no longer take damage when they're picked up. They did a bunch of we saw a bunch of electrical changes last month, and we're basically seeing some fixes and changes to some additional electrical stuff. So they fixed the AND or and XOR switches emitting light when they were unpowered. They fixed the timer switch being triggered by circuit updates even when the power amount didn't change. They fixed memory cell side inputs triggerable by zero power circuits. They fixed the industrial wall light, referred to as simple light, when you were looking at the I/O connection handles, like little stuff like that. So electricity, just a couple little fixes in there, adding on the work that they did, last month. There's also this fix they did for stashes when you actually had to run 3 meters away from a stash and then return in order to have it reveal. If you ever had to do that, hopefully you won't have to do that again because they fixed that whole little dynamic. They fixed shotgun traps going off once an auth player was in front of them when a TC was reskinned. So with the new TC skin, there were some unforeseen things going on there. They fixed some stuff with the tutorial button not showing up in the proper state, so it was disabled when it should have been enabled in certain cases. They fixed the minigun deleting ammo when it runs out of durability and deletes itself, so now the ammo will be put in your inventory as opposed to just going poof. They fixed some stuff with long chat message handling, so there's a 128 character max on chat messages, and they just handled a couple things where fringe cases where it wasn't doing what they expected it to with chat. And also with static workbench variants that you'll find um, around the map, they got rid of the like hidden inventory slots in there, because what you could do is you could accidentally right click some scrap and send them into the ether, and it would just go into a hidden inventory slot on those static workbenches. So that's been resolved as well. And they also finally fixed some colored wires reverting to the default color when clearing one of the segments. So if you're getting real anal about the different wire colors and everything like that, it should stay the color that you selected even if you clear one of the segments now. So that's cool. And then some miscellaneous other stuff. There's some behavioral changes to the patrol helicopter. Uh, there was a whole slew of different things going on last month, and then a whole slew of different things going on this month with the patrol helicopter. I'm not sure exactly what the end result was, because honestly, it was a little verbose and a little ambiguous in the commits. Um, I think one of the big takeaways, though, is that the patrol helicopter, I believe, will now try to find a monument to crash at when it's at zero health. And I think it's just going to behave a little differently when you're attacking it and things like that. Also, when attacking Bradley, you might recall last month they added 4 scientists popping out of Bradley when you attack it. Now there's a chance of heavy scientists popping out as well as the normal blue scientist. So it's going to be a little bit harder to take those down, a little bit harder to take Bradley down. And they're also the scientists that is are behaving a little differently as well. Some will attack you, some will um, to seek shelter, and it's kind of variable based on when they spawn. And then finally, there's a new version of Harmony going out. If you're not familiar, Harmony is like this modding thing in the background, and version 2.3 goes live today. And so that hopefully won't, but maybe will screw up some things with plugins, because we did have to go in and update and refactor a bunch of the code and some of our Harmony plugins because they weren't backwards compatible. So new version of Harmony shouldn't impact anyone as a player unless the plugins on the server you're playing on are borked after this. But if you do see plugin issues after this update, it very well could be because it's that new version of Harmony went live, and old Harmony plugins, generally speaking, don't appear to be compatible. You have to update to this new version of Harmony. But that about does it for what we got going on. A whole huge list of changes, quality of life, and fixes coming in. Another thing I want to say, there was some word of this SKS rifle coming in, and at first we thought it was going to be a new gun, and then the devs released that it was actually going to be part of the Nomad Hazmat DLC, and people weren't too thrilled about that. And so then the devs came back and said, actually, we're going to rethink it. So if you're wondering about the SKS rifle and where that is, it doesn't look like it's making it in for this update. It's in the code of the game still, but it's not going to be released for the broader audience with this update, because they are rethinking about how they're going to release it. I feel like they might be backpedaling and they might actually release it as its own standalone weapon, which I think would be cool, because as opposed, it was just going to be a skin of the SAR, and it sounds different. It looks totally different. It looks like the animations are different. It looks like its own standalone gun, if I'm being honest, as opposed to a skin. So, and now they did say originally it was always meant to be part of the Nomad, DLC, but it just didn't make it in. But given it's been like a couple years since the Nomad DLC released, I think it would make sense just to have it be its own standalone weapon that everyone can use in the game, as opposed to something behind, a DLC paywall. But we'll see. Nevertheless, it isn't coming in with the update this month. I imagine we'll have to wait till the June update and then see how the devs are retooling and refiguring out how to put that in the game. But yeah, that about does it with what we got going on with this update. Once again, the update is expected out at normal time. It's not, even though there are the tech tree tax changes and everything, Once again, it's not forcing a blueprint wipe across the board. It is just a forced map wipe. And it is expected, probably we'll see in about 15 minutes, generally speaking, we'll see the server update go live. And then about 10, 15 minutes after that, we see the client update go live and the dev blog hit. And that's when we say the update is officially live. So everything points to we're on track time wise here. And Miss D, we got any questions from the audience as we just hang out and wait for this update to go live?
Now let's just hang out.
Yeah, let's just chill, you know.
Yeah. No, we have some. But first, we got 50 gifted subs from
Holy shit.
OOO_OOOO.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh,
Lord.
yeah.
Thank you for the 50
So that's
gifted
the name.
subs, brother. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And then Smokebuster0 subscribe with the Prime.
Thank you. Thank you guys. Really appreciate the support. A lot of people tune in and don't really know what's up and figure we're either developers of the game or like Facepunch pays us to do this. And neither of those are the case. We're just an independent organization who loves reporting on development news and running the best servers that we can. And the only way we can do that is through the support of the community. So thank you to everyone who watches. Thank you to people who sub and gift subs, especially. And to our wonderful, beautiful, loyal VIP customers, thank you so much for the support. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. So thank you guys.
Artemis, can you test weapons at 100 meters, they said?
Yeah, sure.
This
See, that's what I was trying to do a minute ago. Unfortunately, you can't really see the recoil on the wall once it gets past a certain distance. So it's a bit useless at the minute, to be perfectly honest. I can for sure shoot them.
Yeah, I mean, we'll stand in front of walls and shoot at them till the cows come home, or I should say, till the update goes live. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem like the best way to show it off. A lot of these changes, it's more like you kind of have to feel it, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Red Town means all monument except safe zones, right?
Yeah, yeah. Unless you see a safe zone like sign on the bottom right of the screen, then if you're at a recycler and you don't see that safe zone sign, then you're going to get 20% more yield and it'll be 5 seconds a cycle. If you're at a safe zone, then it's going to take 8 seconds per cycle and you're going to get 20% less.
And just something to add to that, I noticed maybe we don't have the latest version here, but the recyclers kicked out the same amount, but they are actually kicking out different amounts. Although we couldn't show it, it looked the same when we showed it, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah, I think we're up to date on staging, but maybe something's weird with that. They also did change some of the fine tuning of like rounding of item amounts when recycling. And I think there'll be some more info on that on the dev blog. Um, but yeah,
Also, just of note, on testing earlier, the recyclers are actually different colours in the safe zone, so they were yellow. So I'm not sure if that's still the case, but if it is, that could be
So
something to look out for as kind of a visual indication.
I saw multiple people in chat saying something. Give me a second. Let me find what. The recyclers, both Rattown and Outpost, was the same when you guys tested. On staging, the lower efficiency recyclers should be fully yellow and 40% efficiency.
Yeah, that's it.
Something changed from staging.
yeah, I don't know. I thought
That's
our
it.
systems team updated this to the latest version of staging, but maybe something goofed with that. So sorry if we can't show that off. We are operating based on what the devs did commit and state that they're changing. And specifically with that safe zone recyclers now look different also, but yield 20% less resources and take 8 seconds per cycle. And then Radtown recyclers will yield 20% more resources than before and take 5 seconds per cycle. And so that's what we can expect when the update goes live.
When is WIP? Let's start with that.
Uh, so it is the first Thursday of the month. And so with that, the wipes happen when the update hits. Now, there is a rough scheduled time for the update to hit, and that is basically half an hour from now. Generally speaking, 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT is when we see this update go live. Now, it is a multiple step process. So, the first part is that we see the server update go live, and that will probably happen generally about 20 minutes before the actual client update and dev blog are released. So, we'll probably see that in the next 10 minutes if everything is still on target. And then about 10, 15 minutes after that, we'll see the client update go live and the dev blog go live. And that's when we say the update is officially live. And that all should pop off in the next half hour. And we'll let you know as soon as we see these things go live.
Do you know anything about bikes being added soon?
Yeah, the bikes are being worked on. There's some cool new things being worked on. We got bikes, we got a new weapon, the blunderbuss being worked on. We got various other things being worked on that are not making their way into the game this month. But bikes in particular do appear like they're coming along nicely. The devs have released some funny, like, kind of teaser videos for them on X. And it does look like the functionality is coming along. It looks like we might have like a trike, a bike with a sidecar. There might be some manual bicycles and then some motorbike action going on. So all of that is moving along at a pretty decent velocity from the looks of the commits. So probably we'll see it in the next month or two, maybe June, maybe July, but I'd say this summer we should see bikes go in the game. They're also working on this M939 like truck, which is a military transport truck. So I'm thinking like scrap heli for the ground. So there's some definitely some other cool things coming in, and I imagine the dev blog will give a little more insight into what we can expect with some of that in the next couple months.
Um, has this has it been considered for tugboats to be punished for staying in safe zone for more than X amount of time? Right now, people are abusing it by going offline inside safe zone, fishing village, making it unreadable.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's been considered. I wouldn't be surprised if the devs are considering some type of shift with regards to that. Specifically, though, I haven't heard anything, so I don't know um, if there's anything concrete planned for that. But I wouldn't be surprised if we do see something around that.
Is the cost of the wooden barricade still the same?
Yeah, wood barricade still same cost, still deploys in an instant. It's just a bit chunkier now. It's just wider, and they snap together.
Here we go. Is there a new AK recoil?
No, no new AK recoil. We do have some gunplay changes, but we didn't see anything change with the AK specifically. Uh, TLDR with the gunplay, custom SMG is buffed. It's going to be more accurate, higher chance of more center fire hits specifically, and a 30 round magazine. LR300 is more damage at a longer range and has decreased horizontal recoil and increased bullet velocity. The hollow sight is gonna allow you to see better. You got better visibility out of the hollow sight. Muzzle brake, muzzle boost are buffed, and the semi-auto pistol aim cone has been reduced. And yeah, that's the long and short of it. The SAR, the semi-auto rifle, there was a buff to that was committed, but then it was reverted actually. So I don't believe the SAR is getting the buff. I think that was taken out based on the commits.
Is there a horse fix?
I didn't see anything with regards to horses this month. I know there are some requests going around to, improve the movement and various things with them, but I don't recall seeing any commits around the horses this month.
Are server owners able to disable that safe zone reduction or recycling?
That I don't think they tied to a CVAR. So you might need to go into the modding space for that. I wouldn't be surprised if some mods do pop up that, either revert or change the yield of the recyclers. But as I think about it, normally if that's going to be something that's modified in the commits, we'll see the change come in and then we'll see the addition of a server convar that allows people to mess with it. And in this case, I don't recall seeing any server convars come out for the recycler yield stuff. So I think if you are going to change it as a server owner, you'll probably have to do something with a mod.
Also, for anyone who is curious, the skins are out on the store.
Ooh, skin store update. Nice.
Mm, Can you please ask to add extended mag on LR/AK? Should be 38 bullets now instead of 37.
Well, I generally speaking don't request much from the devs. So I would head over to the Nolt, rust.nolt.io. I think that's where they have a lot of suggestions, and feel free to put suggestions up there and then update them. And I think that is where they do take a lot of the changes that they're planning on doing and stuff. So they definitely do listen to the community. So I'd encourage you to post and ask them.
With having the door controller on the door now, does it affect the explode ammo damage stopping, or can a satchel get caught on it?
Ooh, haven't tested that. Maybe we could shoot a door controller, or, play with that a little bit, see if we see anything of note.
Yeah, sure.
How does 20% increased efficiency work for scrap? Like, if I recycle a propane barrel that used to give one scrap, does it give 1 and 20% chance for an extra one?
That's a good question. They did change. It was just like last night, Jake was on there changing some things with the rounding up and rounding down of different things. And to be honest, I'm not sure where exactly that landed. And then on top of that, it seems like the version of staging that we're on right now might not actually have the recycler yield changes. So unfortunately, I don't think we can test that too much right now. I apologize for that. But maybe we'll get some more information in the dev blog because I feel like they might give a little more explanation as to what the thought process was there with specifically the rounding of things. But I do know they shifted it a bit. I just don't know exactly where it landed.
So it makes absolutely no difference to the Explo ammo. I'm just going to see if I can throw a satchel charge sort of inside it and if it will get stuck.
Someone was just asking how it looks with the door controller on a garage door. I'm building that. And also a question, did the pixel gap or offset got fixed? Seen on a commit a week ago.
Uh, I think that might have been resolved. Yeah. I'll be
Yeah, I
honest,
think
this
there
month,
was. Yeah, I
yeah,
think
I
there was
do
a
think I
commit to
saw
that.
that. Um, and sorry, Artemis, for talking over you, but yeah, I do think I saw that. I'll be honest, this is kind of a challenging month to track everything because instead of like a new functionality coming in, like the cargo ship docks at harbor, and we just gotta like account for all the pieces of that. This month with updates, with the quality of life, the fixes, and the miscellaneous changes and the gunplay stuff, it was kind of like a little pitter patter of stuff all over various dynamics of the game. And it was really hard to track every single thing. So I do apologize if my article missed anything or if we missed anything that is, in fact, a big change. Uh, yeah, we're not the devs and we're not hired by Facepunch, but I we do the best we can here. But this month specifically was a very challenging one because the devs were just on fire, doing so many changes, so all over the place. It can be hard to nail every single one of them down. Ooh, server update out. Look at that.
Nice.
Boom. And that's right on time, I'd say, if not a couple minutes early. So if you're unfamiliar, when the server update, oh, and let me tweet about it. One sec. Where's my drafts?
And while you do that, I tested the door controller on the garage door and it's placed right below the code lock.
Cool. Thank you for
Yeah,
testing that.
you're welcome.
And awesome. So the server update is out right on time, if not a little early. That is a great sign. If you're unfamiliar how this kind of plays out each month, is we have the server update come out, and then we've got about 10 to 15 minutes later, the client update will hit and the dev blog will go live. And at that point, we say, the update is officially live. Our systems team is going to start taking our servers down and updating and wiping them now, just in preparation for the client update dropping. But all signs point to we got an on time, if not early, update this month. And just a quick shout out to the devs. I know people bust balls like crazy and say they don't listen and all this stuff. But I mean, I don't know what world these people are living in because I mean, I see an update like this, and they are working really hard, making a ton of changes, making some gambles that might work, some might not, but they're trying, and and doing a ton of fixes, ton of quality of life, shifting the meta up. Um, just shout out to the devs for their continued effort and their continued work month after month, year after year on this stuff. It's been like over 10 years, and we're still seeing these huge updates each month. And I just want to express my gratitude to the devs for doing that because this game is kind of a unicorn in that like sense. And so yeah, to all the devs at Facepunch, here's to you guys. Good work.
Let's take a last question before we do a recap. Um, is there any news on the Rustafied site or cheaters and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, I am happy to say over the past several weeks, actually, EAC has gotten a bit better at taking action a bit quicker. There's still work to be done, but I have seen more EAC bans happen quicker than I have ever before in my 10 years of previously doing this. So Facepunch has been working with the EAC, and from a server owner standpoint, I am happy to say I have seen improvements there. The situation still needs work. Hacking is still a huge issue in the game. We still have to work really hard to remove a lot of hackers that aren't caught by EAC in a timely fashion, but we are seeing improvements. And then over on our end at Rustified, we're working on redoing our reporting system again now to improve the reporting system, make it more accurate, and allow us to be more responsive back and forth with people and everything like that. Because our current system eh, leaves some room for improvement, and so we're working on that. We're working on a stats system to do player stats, and we're always working on improving our third party and in-house anti-cheat solutions as well, and we've made some strides forward on that in the past month as well. So it's all to say the hacker situation is still a problem. It's still a big problem, but we are seeing some steps in the right direction, and I guess that's the best I could ask for. And hopefully over the next couple months we continue to see steps in the right direction and get to a place where we can say with confidence hacking is not a problem in the game anymore. But we ain't there yet. We ain't there yet.
Let's do a recap, Bugs.
All right. And let's see real quick. I'm checking on. Yeah, server update is still out. Client update and dev blog are still pending. I'll do a quick decap here, but there's so many things, it's going to be hard. I'm going to summarize a little bit. And if you want to follow along at home or anything, go to rustified.com. My article today does summarize all of this in text and pictures. And so you can use that as a reference. But what we got, a couple things. Tech tree tax is in the works. So if you got a workbench level 2, you're unlocking stuff on the tech tree, you're going to get a 10% scrap tax. Workbench level 3, 20% scrap tax. Workbench level 1 has 0% tax, so it's still going to be the same. And this does not impact the cost of researching things at a research table. So if you still find the thing and plop it on a research table, it'll still be the same scrap to unlock. It's just when unlocking things via the tech tree that you get that little scrappity tax. Also, high external structures, high external walls and gates take 1.5 seconds to deploy now, and movement cancels the placement. And you can demolish them after being placed for up to 10 minutes, providing you've got a hammer and it's in build priv zone. Then also wood barricades have been made roughly twice as wide, and they now snap together kind of like the external walls do, and they still place immediately. So when you're in a PvP environment and you need some cover, wood barricades are going to be your best friend, whereas the high external walls might not work as well anymore, given that 1.5-second deploy time. There's a bunch of other meta changing changes coming in. Safe zone recyclers yield 20% less resources than before and take 8 seconds per cycle. Radtown recyclers yield 20% more resources than before and take 5 seconds per cycle. So you're going to get more stuff quicker when you're in a more dangerous situation. Cargo ships now dock at both harbors, and there's been a bunch of other miscellaneous changes with cargo ships and fixes there. Destroyed foundations block instant rebuilding. MLRS lockout was increased. The time was doubled from 10 minutes to 20. C4 prevents upgrading for 30 seconds when it lands on a wall. And this is other explosives as well. So the second it hits the wall, it will block any upgrading ability even before it explodes. All launch site main building loot has now been put into its own puzzle reset mechanism. So it's independent of the other monument loot spawns. And when the puzzle resets, it's now guaranteed to put loot throughout the main building. So roughly 50% more loot is what we're apparently seeing there. But the puzzle only resets when there's no players nearby. So keep that in mind. Then we got a bunch of changes to gunplay coming in. The custom SMG now has a 30 round magazine and slightly higher chance for more center fire hits. The LR300 does more damage at a longer range with decreased horizontal recoil and increased bullet velocity, so some buffs there. There was a semi auto rifle buff that was reverted, so it was put into staging and then taken out. So if you're like, wait, where's the semi auto rifle buff? It looks like that was removed and actually taken out of the commits. The hollow sight viewfinder edges have been reduced for better visibility, and the red reticle has been made thicker. So you're just going to see a little better out of the hollow sight. The muzzle brake and muzzle boost have been buffed. So basically, there's less damage reduction and less damage fall off there when using them. The semi auto pistol aim cone has been reduced. So that's a little buff there. They reduced the refire delay on the burst module from 3x refire to 2x refire. And they did it so there's when you're moving and firing in full auto, the aim cone penalty is not just on the first shot, but rather blended throughout several shots. Then there's a bunch of quality of life things coming in. A couple highlights here: the ability to authorize friends on tool cupboards, just like you do on turrets. That's made it in. If you want to promote someone to team leader on the team UI, it's actually done on the UI in the inventory now. It's no longer you have to look at the player and then promote them that way. They reduced the HV ammo gunpowder cost. It was 20, now it's 10. The HV ammo craft yield has also been increased to match non HV ammo. It was 2, now it's 3. Torpedoes, you got more yield when crafting them, and they're more accurate, and a duo submarine fires torpedoes faster than solo. The roadside armor condition has been increased, so you're going to have a little bit more time before the roadside armor breaks on you. They decreased the metal plate craft cost from 25 to 18 high quality metal. They reduced the cost of incendiary rockets and slightly increased the damage. They reduced the gear cost of HMLMGs. Tech trash is no longer required to craft drones or RF items. And they added a small little steppity step to the legacy shelter so it's easier to get in on bad terrain. Door controllers now actually mount on the door, and there's 3 electrical nodes for power in, close, and open. So those are just a bit more straightforward to use. They also did a ton of fixes, like storage adapters were blocking looting of boxes when looking at the adapter. That's been fixed. They fixed a bunch of stuff with hover looting and dragging and dropping with regards to backpack stuff. They fixed a bunch of stuff with electrical, just little electrical bullshit that was just happening. They just fixed a bunch of that up. And the minigun no longer deletes ammo when it runs out of durability and deletes itself. It'll put the ammo back in the inventory now. They fixed some stuff with long chat messages, just a bunch of fixes. Also, the patrol helicopter is going to behave a bit different. And I believe it will try to crash at monuments when it's low on health. Also, when you're taking Bradley out, you might have some heavy scientists pop out and they might rush you a little bit more than before. They'll either rush or seek cover. Um, and it's variable based on just when they spawn. And then finally, there's a new version of Harmony out. Harmony 2.3 goes live with the update today. And as a player, you probably don't have to worry about anything with that. But as a server owner, if you use Harmony mods and you haven't updated your mods to 2.3, then your mods might not work after this update because the backwards compatibility was not so there from what I was hearing from our devs. So yeah, just a new version of Harmony. And ooh, and with that, the client update is live. Look at that. And let me tweet about it.
Artemis, can you share the holosite in the meantime?
Yeah, for sure.
Thank
And boom, cool. Okay, client update is live. If you're not seeing the client update yet, restart Steam or you can verify the integrity of your local game cache. Sometimes that will kind of force it to look for an update, and you'll see that update in your Steam library show up. But the server update is out and the client update is out. I'm looking for the dev blog over here. I do not see the dev blog posted yet, but we'll probably see that momentarily here. But nevertheless, I'd say the update is live. Go update your Rust clients. And again, restart Steam if you're not seeing it.
you. Are we doing more questions or?
Yeah, let's do another question or two,
Okay,
and
let's
then
do a
we'll
few,
wind
and
this
then we
puppy
have a
down.
raid also that we have to do after the stream,
Yes,
so
yes, we
hang tight.
do.
Can you put a door controller on a stone or wooden gate too? And I just tested that, and yes, you can.
Very cool. Good question.
And sorry, I just joined. Our horse is better now or still unrideable?
I would say the latter, not the former. I haven't seen any changes to horses, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Is face punch forcing BPs?
No, there is no forced blueprint wipe today, even though we do see the tech tree taxes coming in, which kind of does change progression and stuff like that. We're not seeing a forced blueprint wipe with the update today. Many servers do choose to wipe blueprints when the update hits, including most Rustified servers. The exception at Rustified, of course, being our US and EU medium 3, long 3, and ZenLab servers. Those do not wipe blueprints unless forced.
And I see Shlee saying, "Can you ask Box why he's so cute, please?"
Ah,
Oh,
you
you
make
make
me
him blush,
blush.
Shlee.
Love you guys.
Okay, last question, and then we read. Were heavies added to Bradley Scientist deployed?
Yes, yeah. When you're taking Bradley out, heavies were added. And also, real quick, I see people asking about like what does Radtown mean with regards to the recyclers? It's basically any recycler that isn't at a safe zone. So if it's not in a safe zone, you're going to get more yield and it'll recycle quicker. If you're at like compound or bandit camp and you look at the bottom right and you see that little safe zone thing, then if you recycle there, you're going to get 20% less and it's going to take 8 seconds per cycle. So it's going to take a little longer. But that's kind of the distinction there with regards to recyclers. They also look a little different. The safe zone one is yellow now. Is that what we came to?
Yep, that's right. Yep, yellow.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Beautiful. Anything else?
No.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. And once again, I just want to really acknowledge everyone for watching, people who give bits, and our wonderful, beautiful VIP customers. Thank you all so much for the support. We are an independent organization. We're not on the Face Punch payroll. We're not the developers of the game. So we really get by on the support of the community. So thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart for tuning in and supporting us each week. We'll be back same time next week to give you a preview of what's going on with Rust development. Also, thank you, Artemis, and thank you, Miss D, for being my co-MCs as always.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Yep,
I caught myself
anytime.
from saying shadow there.
Yeah,
You caught
Shadow,
that, right? I was
Misty.
like, thank you. Oh, don't dead name her Misty.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, it's
uh,
turning into a meme now, right? Because now
I think
people is
so.
like the same with AK Recoil, where it's Shadow, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in. The update is live. Go restart Steam if you're not seeing it. And I hope you all have a wonderful week and a wonderful wipe. This is Bugs signing off.